Hey, what's up everyone? This is K Collections. Fate Zero Rerun is almost here. Thankfully, we're getting a new 4-star Saber, cause apparently, if you have bad luck as a Lancer, just change your class. Saber Diarmuid, a quick focus servant which specializes in high hits, concentrated on crit damage and spamming NP, is a nice addition to the post-Skadi era. I'll break down his skills, give some CE and team recommendations to see if you should summon him. His attack stats are great, coming at 3rd place when compared to the other 4-star Sabers. As a trade-off, his HP is quite low, being the 4th lowest. He is an attacker, so the trade-off is well worth it. Due to having incredible hit counts, NP gaining multipliers are excellent. It's certainly above average, gaining about 32% with an Arts Quick Brave. Even if you can't perform a Brave chain, just starting with any arts, the bonus will allow him to gain almost 10% NP with just one of his quicks, more with arts. You'll typically attack with his quicks, making him a decent star generator. With his NP Quick Brave chain, Diarmuid will generate somewhere between 35 to 40 stars with no buffs. In terms of his active skills, they are pretty simple but work so well with Diarmuid. One important factor to remember is that the cooldowns are all very low, offering insane consistency. All but his first skill will have a 2-turn downtime, again making him more consistent. You guys know me, I personally do not like a 1-turn survivability kit combined with a 1-turn offensive boost. Regardless, Mana Burst is meant for his NP, which should be combined with his 3rd skill, which buffs NP gains for that NP refund. If you activate his NP gains only without any other buffs, he'll gain about 30% NP with a NP Quick Brave. Now, if you use it outside his NP attack, let's say an Arts Quick Brave chain, he will gain about 40%, which is still amazing. Honor of the Knights is a great NP gaining tool since crit damage increases NP gains. There's 2 perfect timing to use this skill: the turn after his NP, since he'll generate a good amount of stars which he can then absorb, but only if you didn't generate enough for him to crit 100%, because it's pointless to use this if everyone can crit 100%. So like I said, you can also use this as an NP gaining tool even before his NP attack. 15 stars when maxed out, and any extra stars from your previous attack will go directly to him. This is a strong way for Diarmuid to gain momentum to set up for his NP, so charge his NP with crits, attack with his NP, and the star gathering skill is still in effect, allowing him to continue to use those stars to charge his NP, rinse and repeat. At level 1, he'll have a gather rate of 388, at max level he'll have a star weight of 679. Max out his first skill for damage output, then his 3rd skill for NP spamming, saving his 2nd skill last because even at level 1 he'll out-absorb riders. On the other hand, if you want to, you could sacrifice the damage output since it's only for 1 turn in favor for the NP gain, since you want to loop his NP as much as possible. His Noble Phantasm is a single target primarily meant for star gen and NP refund. The defensive buff removal is helpful but occurs after the damage. His NP is quite unique, not in terms of effect or damage but due to the high hit counts. You know the drill, buff his quick as much as you can so he can loop his NP, which leads to a combination of crit and NP damage, which leads to CE selection. There are a lot of choices for him, but the main focuses should be on quick, crit, NP gains or damage. Diarmuid doesn't have a crit damage buff, but he'll crit often, so a damage buff is most ideal. On the other hand, if you're in for that fast killing, say you're using a certain caster we all know, focus on NP damage because crits won't be utilized as much, not saying it won't be used at all, but it won't be utilized as much if you're going for a 3-turn NP loop kill. Now, if you're really going for that fast 1-turn kill, Black Grail just makes sense. Since he doesn't have any starting NPs, if you're using the Quick Queens, depending on RNG, he can charge significant NP gauge to at least shoot out another NP before the buffs expire. Good strategy for break bar bosses, or if you want to knock out 2 high HP bosses. Let's say you're facing a servant and that damn demon boar, let him take revenge on that damn pig. You also can't go wrong with imaginary around, especially for those whales who max limit broke this. Now, obviously I don't know what craft essence you have, these are just some recommendations, but there are some other choices that you can work with. Again, each account is different. Summer Little is another nice combination for basically a little of everything. Glory will excel his 2 main forms of damage, so that's something to consider, but honestly, just figure out what role you want him to play. Are you in for that fast killing, or are you looking for consistency? For fast killing, equip NP damage. Longer fights, any of the above, but ideally you want some kind of quick or crit boost. For team recommendations, aside from the obvious casters, Kayron is actually very helpful for boss fights. He can provide instant stars for Diarmuid while also buffing his crit damage and all command cards. Realistically though, you'll be facing Lancers, which means Kayron isn't most ideal. This is where I would recommend equipping Poster Girl on Keiron so that for one, Diarmuid and the other servant is safe from damage, and secondly, Keiron will die relatively fast, allowing you to switch to another servant. So I wouldn't recommend using Keiron or Atalante or any archers as support without Poster Girl for them to taunt and take damage unless you do the buff and switch method, as archer disadvantage against lancers will slow you down way more than their support. Unless you're going for that quick kill, then by all means use whoever you want that will allow him to one-shot kill. Now Osekabe Hime will help, but this is more so if you're in for a long ass battle, hopefully spamming her NP often, because again, a certain caster we all know will be more preferred for quick kills. The increase in star gen and crit plays well with Diarmuid's strength. Post rank up, her NP can buff Buster as well, which helps greatly with his existing 2, which you'll use often. The combination of their defense buffs will also keep him alive. If you're looking for a fellow quick saber, Caesar is one of the best thanks to his supportive abilities. Now, way in the future, I'm talking way in the future, once he gets his NP upgrade, Caesar can outdamage a lot of gold sabers, making him a phenomenal damage dealer on top of his buffs, which will assist Diarmuid. But that's far into future, just know that you will have a solid Lancer killer to work with. Using BB to lock his quicks can lead to amazing combos, especially if you're using Skadi's, who will buff his quick crit damage. Star generated from her skill will also help Diarmuid when activating his second skill. So basically use the standard double Skadi setups, which went out for BB once you get 2 attacks involving at least one of his quicks, cause you won't get both often. Then you will be able to loop Diarmuid's NP for 3 turns. If you are playing around with the setup, equip a CE that gives him NP gains. Maid Altar essentially provides offensive support while being quite an effective attacker herself. What's important is that skill cooldown reduction, which allows Diarmuid to use his skills even sooner, which they already have low cooldowns, giving him even more momentum. Overall, Saber Diarmuid is similar to Okita to the point where many say he's a budget version. Budget is a strong word since he is a 4-star, and if RNG taught us anything, rate up 4 stars are at times harder to get compared to 5 stars. Miss and his MH XX pulls is a great example of bullshit gotcha. Many will compare Diarmuid to Lancelot or Saber Fran. In comparison to Saberlot, it's arts versus quick. Apples and oranges both have their own functions. Saberlot is more self-sufficient, basically generating stars even without attacking. You're going to use completely different support as well, most likely Tamomo or Castoria 2 years from now with Saberlot. Obviously, Diarmuid with Skadi, cause you sure ain't going to use Lancelot with her. Again, apples and oranges. One thing to take note of is that Diarmuid's NP damage is higher than Lancelot's, even Fran's. In comparison to Fran, she has better utility, especially that buff removal, which is excellent, and her NP gains are insanely better thanks to her NP gaining buff. Essentially, she's a better NP looper while it's active. Diarmuid, on the other hand, utilizes crits to charge his NP. Fran essentially lacks a crit focused role compared to Diarmuid, trading it off for a looping NP damage. Diarmuid can be seen as a combination of both. Now, if you used Okita before, he plays very similarly to her. I hate comparing the two, but it's for you to have a better visualization and understanding if you never used them before. Key differences is that he is more consistent when dealing crit damage since he has an on-demand star skill and his absorption has a 2-turn downtime as opposed to Okita's 4 turns. So basically, both relies on their quicks for NP gains. Star Gen essentially is their main engine. Okita is more a burst crit servant, out-damaging him in both NP and crit damage, while Diarmuid is far more consistent with criticals. He's also quite durable despite his low HP, and on-demand evasion and defense buff both having low cooldowns. His main weakness is that quick playstyle, which is still seen as the worst out of the 3 without Skadi's help. Even with Skadi, she's meant for fast finishes. If you can't kill the boss after 3 turns, then the overall strength of your team drops drastically, as opposed to the long consistency of, let's say, Saberlot and a Tamomo setup. He is a phenomenal quick saber, which there's not a lot of to begin with. In a post-Skadi era, you'll get a lot out of him, but it's not going to replace other established saber setups. Again, you could go for that fast 1-turn or 3-turn kill. Think of it as more tools in your ever-expanding toolbox. If you already have Okita, then you can skip him since she's, in my opinion, more effective. Diarmuid is also not limited, so take that into consideration. Overall, he's an amazing servant even without Skadi. As I mentioned before, he's kind of like Okita, and I use Okita a lot even before the release of the Quick Queen. So if you need a solid self-sufficient saber, go for him. But if you are saving for another servant and you already have a good saber to work with, then you're not missing out on anything too much if you skip him. For myself, I'm definitely summoning him. He's one of my favorite characters. I may stream my summons Not 100% sure yet, but if I do, it'll most likely be on my Twitch. You can follow me on Twitch. Channel link is in the description. Special thanks to all my patrons and sponsors. If you want to support my channel, check out my Patreon or channel membership. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more Fates content. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and join my Discord server. All links are in the description. Have an awesome day, everyone. Till next time.